The water was 43 degrees, cold enough to kill a man in less than an hour if he stopped moving, cold enough to shut down organs, stop the heart, freeze the blood in his veins. And Vincent Moretti had been swimming in it for 7 hours and 42 minutes. His lips were blue, his skin was gray, his teeth chattered so violently he'd bitten through his tongue twice. But he kept swimming, because Bumpy Johnson was sitting on the dock 30 feet away, watching. And every time Vincent slowed down, every time his strokes weakened, every time he started to sink, Bumpy would say the same 3 words: "Keep swimming, Vincent." It was 6:17 a.m., April 3rd, 1961. The sun was just starting to rise over the Hudson River, casting orange light across the dark water. On the dock at Pier 45, Bumpy sat in a folding chair, wearing a heavy wool coat, drinking coffee from a thermos, completely still. Behind him, Illinois Gordon stood with his hands in his pockets, watching Vincent struggle in the water. "Boss," Illinois said quietly, "he's not going to make it another hour, maybe not another 20 minutes. Bumpy took a sip of coffee. "He'll make it. His body temp. He'll make it," Bumpy repeated, "because he knows what happens if he stops." In the water, Vincent's arms barely broke the surface anymore. His kicks were weak, uncoordinated. His eyes were unfocused. But he kept moving. Because 3 days ago, Vincent Moretti had drowned a man in this exact spot, and Bumpy Johnson was making sure Vincent understood exactly what that felt like. To understand why Vincent Moretti was dying slowly in the Hudson River while Bumpy Johnson watched, you need to understand who died 3 days ago. Marcus "Doc" Williams, 41 years old, Bumpy's driver for 6 years. Doc wasn't just a driver, he was family. He'd saved Bumpy's life twice, once in 1956 when a rival crew tried to ambush Bumpy's car. Doc drove through gunfire, took a bullet in the shoulder, got Bumpy to safety. Once in 1958 when Doc noticed brake lines had been cut and refused to let Bumpy get in the car. Doc had a wife, 3 kids, coached Little League on weekends, sang in the church choir. He was a good man, working a dangerous job because Bumpy paid well and treated him with respect. On March 31st, 1961, Doc was running an errand for Bumpy, picking up an envelope from a contact on the west side. He never made it back. His body was found floating near Pier 45 at 11:30 p.m. that night. The autopsy was clear: drowning, no gunshot wounds, no stab wounds, just water in the lungs. But Doc was a strong swimmer, had been a lifeguard as a teenager, so Bumpy knew this wasn't an accident. Someone had held Doc under, watched him struggle, watched him drown, and Bumpy needed to know who. It took Illinois Gordon 18 hours to find out. A dock worker named Jimmy Corso had seen it happen, seen 3 men grab Doc as he was walking along the pier, seen them drag him to the edge, seen them throw him in, and seen one of them, tall, dark hair, expensive coat, jump in after him, not to save him, to make sure he drowned. The man had held Doc's head underwater for nearly 3 minutes until Doc stopped struggling, then climbed back onto the dock and walked away like nothing had happened. Jimmy Corso gave Illinois a description. Illinois showed him photographs. Jimmy pointed to one immediately: Vincent Moretti, enforcer for the Genovese family's West Side operations. When Illinois told Bumpy, Bumpy asked one question: why? Illinois had the answer. Vincent had been trying to move into Harlem's policy operations, had approached some of Bumpy's runners about switching sides. The runners refused and reported it to Bumpy. Bumpy sent Doc with a message for Vincent: stay out of Harlem or face consequences. Vincent's response was to kill the messenger, to drown Doc Williams in the Hudson River and leave his body floating as a message back to Bumpy. Big mistake. April 2nd, 1961, 11:30 p.m. Vincent Moretti left his social club on West 47th Street. He'd been celebrating, bought drinks for the house, told everyone how he'd handled a problem for the family, bragged about how Bumpy Johnson's driver had begged for his life before Vincent held him under. Vincent walked to his car alone, slightly drunk, overconfident. He never saw the two men waiting in the shadows. Illinois Gordon and Willie Lee stepped out as Vincent reached for his car door. Vincent's hand moved toward his waistband, where he kept a .38 revolver. Illinois already had his gun out. "Don't." Vincent froze. "Bumpy wants to see you," Illinois said. "Tell Bumpy if he's got a problem." Willie hit Vincent from behind with a blackjack. Vincent dropped like a stone. They put him in the trunk of Bumpy's Cadillac and drove to Pier 45. Bumpy was already there, sitting in a folding chair on the dock, staring at the dark water. Illinois and Willie dragged Vincent out of the trunk. He was conscious but groggy. They dropped him on the dock at Bumpy's feet. Vincent looked up, saw Bumpy's face, and understood immediately that he was in serious trouble. "Mr. Johnson, listen, I can explain." "Stand up," Bumpy said quietly. Vincent stood on shaking legs. Bumpy pointed at the water. "You know what happened here 3 days ago?" Vincent's face went pale. "I don't know what You drowned my driver, right there. Held him under for 3 minutes while he fought for his life." Vincent tried to back away. Illinois grabbed his arm. "I was following orders," Vincent said quickly. "The family said to send a message. I was just—" "You were just following orders," Bumpy interrupted. "The same excuse cowards have been using for centuries." Bumpy stood up slowly. Doc Williams was 41 years old, had a wife, 3 kids, never hurt anyone in his life. He was just delivering a message, and you drowned him. "I'm sorry, You're going to be," Bumpy said. "Take off your coat." "What?" "Your coat, your jacket, your shoes, everything except your pants. Take it off." Vincent looked at Illinois and Willie. Both had guns out now. Slowly, Vincent removed his coat, his jacket, his shoes and socks. Stood there in just his pants and undershirt, shivering in the cold April air. "Get in the water," Bumpy said. Vincent's eyes went wide. "What? No, I can't." "Get in or we throw you in. Your choice." Vincent looked at the dark water, at the dock, at Bumpy's face. He had no choice. Vincent climbed down the dock ladder and lowered himself into the Hudson River. The cold hit him like a punch. He gasped, his whole body seizing up. "Swim," Bumpy said. "I can't, it's too cold, Doc couldn't swim either when you held him under, but you made him try. Now swim." Vincent started swimming, barely. His arms and legs were already going numb. Bumpy sat back down in his chair, checked his watch. "It's 11:47 p.m. You're going to swim until 8 a.m. 8 hours and 13 minutes. If you stop swimming, you'll drown. If you try to climb out, we'll push you back in. If you call for help, nobody's coming." Vincent's teeth were already chattering. "I can't swim for 8 hours in this water. It's impossible. I'll die." "Maybe," Bumpy said. "Doc died in 3 minutes. You've got 8 hours. Seems fair to me." Vincent tried to swim toward the dock. Illinois pointed his gun. "Stay 30 feet out. Don't come closer." For the first hour, Vincent swam frantically, trying to stay warm, trying to stay alive. His arms and legs pumped furiously. His breath came in ragged gasps. But the cold was relentless. By the second hour, his movements were slower, more mechanical. His body was shutting down. "I can't. Please, I can't." "Keep swimming," Bumpy said. At 2:30 a.m., Vincent started to sink. His head went under, came back up, went under again. "Boss," Illinois said. "He's going." Bumpy stood, walked to the edge of the dock. "Vincent," Bumpy called out, "if you drown, I'm going to your family next. Your wife, your 2 daughters. I'm going to tell them exactly how you died. Tell them you killed an innocent man and begged for mercy while you froze to death in the same water." Vincent's head broke the surface. He sucked in air, started swimming again. Weak strokes, barely moving, but swimming. "That's what I thought," Bumpy said. He sat back down. The third hour was worse. Vincent was crying now, begging between strokes. "Please, God, please." His lips were blue. His skin was gray. His eyes were barely open, but he kept swimming. Because stopping meant drowning, and drowning meant his family would know he died a coward. At 4:15 a.m., Vincent started hallucinating. He was talking to people who weren't there, arguing with his father, apologizing to his mother. "Boss," Willie said, "he's losing it." "Let him," Bumpy said. At 5:30 a.m., the sun started to rise. Orange light spread across the water. The temperature began to climb, 43 degrees to 45. Not much, but enough that Vincent's body stopped shutting down quite so fast. "Keep swimming, Vincent," Bumpy said. Vincent's response was barely audible, a whisper, "Swimming." At 6 a.m., dock workers started arriving for the morning shift. They saw Bumpy sitting on the dock, saw a man swimming in the river. Nobody asked questions. They just walked past, headed to work. Because everyone on the West Side docks knew Bumpy Johnson, and everyone knew better than to interfere. At 7 a.m., Vincent stopped responding to Bumpy's voice. He was still swimming, barely, arms moving in slow circles, legs kicking weakly. But his eyes were closed, his mouth was slack. He was swimming on pure survival instinct now. His conscious mind was gone. "Boss," Illinois said quietly, "he's done. He's not even conscious anymore." Bumpy checked his watch. 18 minutes left. He makes it to 8. That was the deal. The final 18 minutes felt like hours. Vincent's head dipped below the surface 3 times. Each time he somehow found the strength to push back up, to keep moving. At 7:58 a.m., his arms stopped moving completely. He floated, face down, not moving, not responding, barely breathing. His skin was corpse gray, his lips were black, his fingers and toes were frozen stiff. Bumpy stood over him. "You killed Doc Williams in 3 minutes. You survived 8 hours. Want to know why?" Vincent's eyes flickered open, just barely. "Because I'm not a murderer. I'm giving you a chance Doc never got. A chance to live, to go home, to see your family." Bumpy leaned down until his face was close to Vincent's. "But if you ever come to Harlem again, if you ever speak my name again, if you ever hurt anyone connected to me again, next time you go in the water, you don't come out. Understand?" Vincent managed the smallest nod. Bumpy straightened up. "Get him to a hospital. Drop him at the emergency room. Don't wait." Illinois and Willie loaded Vincent into the car. Bumpy stayed on the dock, staring at the water where Doc Williams had died, where Vincent Moretti had spent 8 hours learning what drowning feels like. Vincent Moretti survived. The doctors at St. Vincent's Hospital said it was a miracle. His core body temperature was 86 degrees when he arrived. He'd lost feeling in his fingers and toes, had early-stage hypothermia, pneumonia in both lungs. He spent 2 weeks in the hospital. When he was discharged, he left New York immediately, moved to Philadelphia, never returned. The Genovese family asked questions. Vincent told them he'd been mugged, thrown in the river, barely survived. Nobody believed him, but nobody pushed, because the truth was worse than the lie. The truth was that Vincent had killed Bumpy Johnson's driver, and Bumpy made him pay in a way that left him alive, but destroyed. Vincent Moretti lived another 23 years, died in 1984 of lung complications related to that night in the Hudson, but people who knew him said he was never the same after April 1961. Said he had nightmares, would wake up screaming about drowning, about cold water, about a voice in the darkness saying, "Keep swimming." His wife asked him once what happened that night. Vincent never answered. Doc Williams was buried on April 5, 1961. 500 people attended the funeral. His wife, his 3 children, his church community, and Bumpy Johnson standing in the back, silent. After the service, Doc's wife approached Bumpy. "Did you find who did it?" she asked quietly. "Yes." "What happened to him?" Bumpy looked at her for a long moment. He learned what Doc felt in his last moments, and he'll carry that for the rest of his life. Doc's wife nodded slowly. Good. She walked away. Bumpy stayed until everyone had left, until the cemetery workers had filled in the grave. Then he drove back to Harlem. Illinois was waiting in the office. You think Vincent learned his lesson? Illinois asked. Bumpy poured himself a drink. He learned that killing has consequences, that taking a life means living with what you've done. Whether he becomes a better person from it, I don't know, but he'll never forget. And if he comes back, he won't, Bumpy said. He spent 8 hours in 43-degree water because I made him. Next time, he knows I won't pull him out. Bumpy raised his glass. To Doc Williams. Good man, good friend, gone too soon. Illinois raised his own glass. To Doc. They drank in silence. The story spread through New York's underworld like wildfire. Vincent Moretti drowned Bumpy Johnson's driver. Bumpy made Vincent swim in the Hudson for 8 hours, nearly killed him, let him live as a warning. The message was clear. You can hurt Bumpy's people, but you'll pay for it in ways you can't imagine. For the next 7 years, until Bumpy died in 1968, not a single Genovese family member operated in Harlem. Not one. Because they all remembered Vincent Moretti, remembered 8 hours in freezing water, remembered that Bumpy Johnson didn't just kill his enemies, he made them understand exactly what their victims felt. And sometimes, that was worse than death.